So, hello, good evening everybody. I'm David Gillanders, Executive Director of Pathways of Hope. How are you all tonight? I'm going to wave at you now. How's it going? Everyone doing okay? It's another beautiful day in North Orange County, right? Good day to come and talk about ending hunger and homelessness in our community, specifically hunger tonight, right? Before we start, I want to thank everybody who showed up. Thank you so much for taking your time, not just tonight to show up at this meeting, but for your commitment to our work, the volunteerism you do, whether it's at the hub, whether it's, I see Jean over there. You know, no one can handle a box of envelopes like Jean can, okay? Nobody. Jean's got the corners of the market on that one, okay? And so many of our new friends and old friends that are here, we really appreciate it so much. I just want to see by a show of hands really quickly before we start, who has never volunteered for Pathways of Hope? Okay, good. We got some new folks. I'd like to see that. Who has volunteered for a year, under a year? Less than a year. Okay, more than a year. Okay, if you're more than a year, keep your hand. No, keep your hands up. Keep your hands. We're gonna play the game of deduction here. Who's more than 5 years? Who's more than 10 years? I see Paul and Irene back there. Who's more than 15 years? More than 20 years. Okay, we should stop and give those folks a round of applause right now. Roberta, the Brodens, amazing groups of people just doing awesome work for our community. It's so appreciated. And what we're hoping tonight is that we continue that trend of building long relationships with people that are giving back to us in our community and really helping us fulfill our mission. So thank you all for being here tonight. So a couple of things really quickly. So we're going to talk about a couple different things tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz in the air and excitement in the community about the college food program, which we're going to talk about, which we're really excited about. We're going to go over some changes at the hub that are going to be happening. It's going to be okay. Don't worry, I promise. Some minor changes here and there, some staffing changes, which will feel really big and are really big, but are also we're going to be okay. We've got some good folks. We've got a great team of support here for everybody. And one thing I'm going to ask is that there are some yellow slips of paper and pens at your table. Can you guys hold them up for me? Make sure you got them. Everyone got them at their tables? Okay. If you've got questions during this, write them down. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end, and anything we can't get to, we're going to push off, and Michael's got a plan for distributing answers to everybody's questions. All right. She's got me, I'm on an all-day flight tomorrow to the East Coast, or a series of flights, and she's like, David, I'm going to be sending you questions, and I'm expecting you to type answers on the plane. I'm like, all right, no problem, you got it. All right, so welcome. So I'm going to kick this off a little bit. Again, I'm David Gillanders, I'm the Executive Director of Pathways of Hope. We have some amazing team and staff in the audience. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand, I'm going to try to. We got Michael, Ann, and Rhiannon from our development team here. I'll come back to you. We got Bishop Hendra, Director of Programs. We got Mary Estebel, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Had to change the roles a little bit for us. Sarah McClellan, our Housing Program Manager. Rosa, Housing Support Specialist, had her back to me. I'm like looking out on the horizon. Oh, there's Rosa. And Mike Van Elmers, who leads no direction. All right, so let's dig in here on. Did I get everything, Michael? Did I cover everything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're doing great.
No, thank you. Okay. So let's talk about this new college food program thing just briefly. I just want to take a few minutes to talk about it. And again, if you have questions, it's a great time to write them down as I go through this, and we're going to try to get as many as we can answered at the end of the night. Or not the night. We're not going to keep you guys that long, I promise. End of the program. So just a reminder of Pathways of Hope's mission, right? Our mission statement is that we lead a community effort to provide access to food, shelter, and housing to those experiencing hunger and homelessness in North Orange County. And obviously tonight, most of what we're going to talk about has to do with hunger, right? Because that's where most of our volunteerism is, that's where most of our opportunities are, and that's where this new exciting expansion of services with the colleges kind of comes from. There's a great picture of a volunteer doing awesome work for us. So one of the things we recognized a while ago is we were starting to have some conversations with the colleges, just kind of about the work we do, nothing really formal. I was meeting with Dr. Schultz a lot. Dr. Schultz, who went to Look Who's Dancing 2018 and saw Dr. Schultz as Napoleon Dynamite? Wasn't that amazing? Yeah, he should have won, if you ask me. Right? No, but we started having kind of these informal conversations and talking about what some of the challenges were on local college campuses. And in hearing, I went to Fullerton College and I went to Cal State Fullerton, and I teach now a little bit at Cal State Fullerton. So when Dr. Scholes was coming to me and saying, we have actually a crisis on our campus or across many campuses of food insecurity, I kind of did a double take. 20 years ago when I was going to school there, I would have never thought that we had food insecurity at such a high level on these campuses, but we do. And there's a lot of information coming out about it. This one was from Business Insider. Major publications and institutions are starting to acknowledge it and do stories. This was a remarkable study we found. 19% of college students in California are homeless. And I think if you think about the idea that college students are facing this kind of housing insecurity, food insecurity almost definitely goes hand in hand with that. We know it's a dual situation for most of the students. Not all students who are food insecure are going to be housing insecure, but probably close to 100% of housing insecure students will be food insecure, if that makes sense. Homeless in college, USA Today. Students sleeping in cars, on couches when they have nowhere else to go. Should community colleges build housing? These are the kinds of conversations that are starting to happen. We know Orange Coast College is actually working on this. They're actually building some physical apartments for the student body to live in. That's what this is, 800-bed student apartment complex, which is a pretty remarkable thing. Again, something 20, 25 years ago, going to Fullerton College, if you told me we were going to build that, I'd have looked around and go, why? I can go get an apartment down the street for $750, a two-bedroom, right? I can work part-time, pay the rent. It'd be awesome. That was literally my rent when I graduated from high school in 1994, just to demonstrate how much things have changed. So, this is what we know. Earlier this year, Temple University did a study specifically on Fullerton College regarding housing and food insecurity. 24,000 students. They actually had a pretty good response rate. 900 is actually pretty high when you do this kind of work. 50% of survey respondents said they had, in the last 30 days, been food insecure. That's a pretty high proportion of the overall student body. 61% of survey respondents were housing insecure. Okay? And 17% of respondents reported homelessness in the prior year. One of the things we know about this population and homelessness is it looks very different than what we see when we see somebody with all their belongings going down the street, or somebody who's showing up at the armory or one of our shelters, or maybe someone we've seen some of our community members having mental health situations on the street and things like that. This is your young people who don't have a family infrastructure necessarily to fall back on, or were in foster care. There's a lot of different sorts of layers and situations here. And we have people couch surfing, or living in their car, or sometimes worse, sometimes living outside. And a lot of these students, if you try to think about the idea that you're going to be able to get a good education and start to further your life, and as an adult kind of fulfill, come on, not now, don't do that. I'm like going into a point here. I could do this. I'm almost loud enough naturally. I don't really need it, right? So, but when you think about what those students are trying to accomplish in their lives, to have these extra barriers isn't really all that helpful. Okay, let's try that. I think pushing down on the back of it might be the trick. Okay, so next slide. So this is what we're going to do. We had a lot of initial conversations early last fall with the 3 colleges of the North Orange County Community College District. So that's Cypress College, North Orange Continuing Education School, which their main campus is the big one in Anaheim off of Euclid, the old Martin Luther Hospital where I was born. My staff is so tired of hearing me say that, but that's how I talk about this. Lisa Lozelle was also born at Martin Luther Hospital. So was Mike Knowledge. Anyone else? No? My brother was. He's not here tonight, but okay. And Cypress College. So all the schools came together and we started talking about how we could affect some change positively for these students that are struggling with housing and the homelessness, or homelessness and hunger in their student body. So what we are going to do is we're renaming the hub the mothership. No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to treat it like a mothership. And we're going to have satellite food pantries on the 3 campuses, the 3 main campuses. So Cypress College, which already has a food pantry, Fullerton College, which already has a food pantry, and we're going to be starting a brand new one at North Orange Continuing Education. Actually, Valentina, the provost of North Orange Continuing Education, is here. We have and Elaine from Fullerton College and Dana from Fullerton College. And these are just incredible partners of ours that have really thought big with us and really trusted us to bring something of value to their campuses and to their students. So we're super excited. Each of the campuses is going to be each of the locations is going to be managed by a person from our staff that we're going to hire and train and cultivate in the Pathways ways, which we're really excited about. And it's going to be managed at the upper level by the hub. So we'll talk about some of the management structure and staffing stuff for a lot of you longtime volunteers at the hub. There's obviously some changes coming. So we're leveraging our expertise in food distribution, and we wanted this whole thing to grow into deeper relationships where we can work on the issues of housing. We think this is a great gateway to get access to students and to find out what's going on with students. And excuse me, you talk too long and don't take a break, that's what happens. And assess students who are having housing challenges so we can find out what's going on with them and see how we can best help them. So there's a great picture of the Fullerton College food bank. That's the whole thing, it's just that table there. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually really, really nice, and you should all pay a visit to it. So, again, we're going to do questions at the end. I just wanted to get to that. I wanted to bring up a guy who, well, we all love him, right? What are we kidding? Mike Von Allers, come up here. Sure it is. You gotta fold it under, that's what it seems like. Fold it under. Try folding under. Folding under.
Got it.
Okay, that should work. All right, how's everybody doing? It's good to see everyone. Thank you for coming out to our volunteer meeting. I know it's not easy walking out an hour and a half in your schedule, but we really appreciate you guys being here. So I have a couple things to talk about. One is really just how excited I am for the expansion of our food program here at Pathways of Hope. When I started working at Pathways after about a year, I slowly started to realize that there was a real solid formula for food distribution. It was something that we could really have impact not only our hub and other areas of Fullerton. And when David approached me and started talking about the fact that we're going to be bringing on not one, not two, but 3 new locations for food distribution, I was just extremely excited, and I'm really happy for everyone who's going to be involved in the new programs for Pathways and everything that the direction that our food pantry and our food services are going, especially in Fullerton. I'm just really excited for it. So these are awesome changes, and I'm happy that I'm going to have about a month to have an impact with those changes. With that being said, I would like to bring up also tonight that, that my last day at Pathways is going to be August 31st. And I know a lot of you already know this. I might just not use this. Yeah. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to talk loud. So, like I said, my last day is going to be August 31st here at Pathways, and it's been just an incredible journey. I am, now moving on to the next chapter of my life, and I'm very excited for that. But I do want to say, when I first started at Pathways, going into this world of homelessness and low income and helping those in need, I really knew that that was going to have a huge impact on me, and I knew that working with these clients was just going to be life-changing, which it has been. But what I really didn't know was the impact that all the volunteers and all of you guys have had on me over the past 3 years that I've been here. I can't thank you enough for the lessons that you guys have taught me, the struggles that we've been through together, the clients that we've had to kind of experience their journeys and stuff. It's really been kind of a surreal experience being there with you guys for those clients. I can't have asked for any better people working with the past couple of years. So I just really want everyone to give a round of applause to thank yourself for helping those clients. It's so cool to be part of something that's really impacting people, and not only just people, but people in our backyard and in our community. And to do that with you guys has been pretty awesome. So thank you guys for that. And if you have any questions for me regarding on what I'm doing next, I would love to talk to you about it. You can always reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me, Pathways of Hope website, email, call. You can get in touch with me if you want to know more about that. But with me leaving, that leaves a spot to fill in Pathways and Pathways Food Program. And we're really excited about kind of the direction in which that's going. So I'm going to reintroduce David back on stage to talk about kind of what's next for leading this, I guess, food charge.
Yeah, well, all right, I'll go without Mike too. Can you guys hear me too? Is that okay? All right. So,
Don't hang out.
all right. I'm gonna say some nice words about you. Okay? When I first got here, I was told, go over to the hub, spend time at the hub. The volunteers all come back, David. You got to come back. Be the guy who shows up a lot. And I try to do the best I can, but one of the things that was really comforting is that I saw Mike's dynamics with the volunteers and what that looked like and how important that was to the success of the hub. And I felt like, wow, here's a young guy who had just gotten into this work a year prior to my getting here, and who really got it and really understood the relational value of the volunteers and how that translated to our clients. So I just want to thank you for your commitment to us and how much you've grown even in the 2 years I've been here with you. And yeah, it's been awesome. So let's give Mike a round of applause. So with this big expansion of services, we had thought Mike was going to come along for the ride. He opted not to. Okay, Mike, that's fine. I'm excited for Mike's next journey, and if you get him in a corner and you get to talk to him about it, it's actually pretty awesome. But we, fortuitously as it is, and I think luck is something you prepare for by working hard and keeping your nose down and doing the right thing, we had actually found someone for our Service Navigator job at the hub previously. Our Service Navigator positions do a lot of community-based work with rental assistance and prevention for homelessness, diversion, trying to keep people from entering the homeless system at all, really doing everything they can to kind of stem the tide, stop the inflow of families going into shelters. It's always better if a family can stay with their family or can get a place of their own or do some kind of reunification than to enter a shelter program. And so we found Mary Esquivel. Mary, you want to wave at everybody? Mary, a lot of you know Mary already. So Mary came to us in the Service Navigator role, and we were really excited. She had a lot of great experience working in high crisis, high stress, high trauma situations, and we know the hub gets a lot of that walk-up group of folks who could use that experience in somebody. And she started with our Service Navigator, and when Mike announced that he was going to go off on this amazing mission, and the colleges were contracting us to do this work, we had to make some decisions. And we talked to Mary and we said, I think we're going to create a manager position and flyer it. Would you be interested? And you've never seen someone so quickly grab the brass ring opportunity and go, yes, I want to go do that. And her enthusiasm for it, her strong managerial skills, her commitment to time management and reporting and things has already been really, really impressive. And she's been eager to learn. I'm sure a lot of volunteers have experienced her coming out and asking questions and getting to know them and stuff. And we're hoping Mary stays around for the long haul. And she's now going to be our service navigation supervisor, running the operations at the hub and managing those other staff positions at the other satellite campuses. So this is kind of our opportunity to welcome Mary to this new role. So much experience, is bilingual, which I think will help us at the hub too, and just has a lot of really strong attributes that I think that are going to help us a really great deal. So that's enough about staff. Let's talk about what really matters, and that's you guys, the volunteers and the potential volunteers. There were some hands that went up said I've never volunteered before, and by the end of the night we're going to change that, right? That's part of what we're doing here. So I think Anne's going to come up right now and talk a little bit about volunteer-related stuff. All right, gotta fold it.
Yeah. Woo, Ann. All right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Switch on.
Oh, it's not on. There we go. All right. So we'll try it. Welcome. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate your time. We couldn't do this without the volunteers. And as you know, when I host the volunteer luncheon, I can't say thank you enough. You guys help us run this business. I'm just going to read my notes. It's easier for me. Without you, we couldn't reach as many people as we do. Again, thank you. And we're very excited to expand the future volunteer roles at the hub and at the 3 satellite centers in the near future. It's only because of our highly skilled volunteers, you, that we are recruiting and implementing a lead volunteer at the hub for each day of the week. These leads will help facilitate the food distribution each day and work together with each other and Mary Esquivel, our new Service Navigation Manager. I'm also happy to announce that we have identified a few leads already. They are Barry Bresky, Bob McEntee, Leslie Johnson, Linda Gardner, Sue Mendoza. So I'd like to say thank you. Yeah, so a round of applause for these. Yes. Let's give a round of applause for these brave pioneers. If any of you else are interested in becoming lead volunteers, please contact me or Mary, and we'll be glad to share with you those roles. Moving on to the current volunteers. So if you're currently a volunteer at the Hub, there's not going to be much change for you in terms of what you do. You will all be doing the same roles, basically. But we will be making a few minor adjustments to ensure that there's a consistent program, knowing that we're going to have different needs every day. So for example, we're going to be adding a volunteer sign-in sheet, ask volunteers to wear name tags, and have a post communication on a whiteboard to share that information with everybody. And also those leads will hold regular meetings with each other, so the communication is fluid between the different days. And initially, we're only going to bring on the leads at the Hub for now, but it's possible that we might add leads at the colleges later. That's still developing. And again, I want to say, because you guys go above and beyond, this gives us the confidence that you can help lead our food programs. I really appreciate that. As my colleagues have already stated, our goal is to provide more access points for those friends who visit us at the Hub every day. To have access to the housing and food resources. And we believe this program will be successful with you, and we'd like to thank you for making that expansion of our food programs a possibility and successful. And if you are new and have not volunteered with us, please leave your name and your contact information up here at the front, and I would be glad to include you in all of my mailers and our general mailers for everybody. And so now I'd like to turn it over back to Mike, who's going to talk about how our food program works.
All right, I'm back. So I know there's a lot of you in here who might not really know how the pantry in Fullerton works. So the purpose of what I'm going to be talking about in the next 15 minutes is really about kind of the expectations for the volunteers during our food process. But I will give a brief introduction of the pantry just so those of you who are not familiar with the kind of way it works can have a little bit of an idea. So we operate just behind Richmond Elementary School, behind Richmond Park. And we're a food distribution center for low-income and homeless families who can come into our center from Monday through Saturday. So during the week, we're open from 1 to 4, and then on Saturdays, we are open from 9 to noon for the community. And anyone and everybody who's in need can come into that center. The real purpose of having our center there is to get rid of food insecurity in this area, both among the homeless and low-income. We don't want anyone to be going to sleep at night in our community who's fearful about feeding themselves, their family, their children. And so we're there as a resource to kind of make sure that people always feel comfortable and always know that food services are available. So that is kind of just a very brief overview of the Hub. So what I'm going to go into next is, like I said, the expectations for the volunteers who are currently working at our food distribution program, our grocery rescue or food rescue volunteers, and then also our shelf stocking volunteers. So I'm going to start with going a little bit in detail of the actual distribution process. So if you guys, I know there's probably going to be questions that arise when I go through this, so please write them down and we'll go over them at the end kind of during our Q&A. The purpose is really to provide consistency for the clients. So we want to make sure that a client who comes in on Monday, comes in on Saturday, comes in on Friday, is going to have the same experience throughout the entire week. That way, when they come into the pantry, they know what they're going to get, and it's all similar. So again, number one important is the client. So we want to make sure that the client is welcomed, feels comfortable, we're providing dignity to their shopping experience, the resources we provide to them. We always keep that in mind, everything we do during the distribution process. The next step is hours. So volunteers are expected to arrive on time. We're making some slight adjustments to the hours just so that we can provide kind of more preparation for our program, and also for the end of our program to not be kind of so stressful. So the hours for volunteers during distribution are going to be 15 minutes prior, so 12:45 during the week, and then going to go down to 4:30. So a lot of days will be done at 4 o'clock, but I want to have that timestamp be 4:30 because I know, and people who work there have known, that we're not done at 4. There's a lot of stuff to do until 4:30, just clean up, or if there's clients coming through. Time off. If you're going to be requesting time off, please let your supervisor know at least a week in advance. So with Ann introducing these new lead volunteers, your supervisor, and we'll be going over this in the next couple of weeks, is going to be that lead volunteer for your day. So if you're going to be gone in a couple of weeks, or you even know next month you're going to be out for vacation, just let your lead supervisor or your lead volunteer know so that they can address it with the volunteer coordinator who can get more people. All right, so now we're going to go into our intake process, so the start of distribution. The first thing that we hit is the line. So when people are lining up outside of our center, there's just a couple points that we need to make sure are consistent. So clients can place things in the line and go sit in the shade. They can sit in their car. We know, especially during the summer, it's really hot out. We don't want to force somebody to be outside in the line. If they have certain health conditions, they're welcome to come inside if they do ask. Just check with your lead volunteer if that's necessary. But what somebody's not allowed to do is set a bag down and go, get some food or go somewhere else and run some errands. We really don't want clients to be leaving. So as long as they're still on that premises, which is, just the borders of the parking lot, a lot of clients like to sit under the trees and the grass, that's okay. Those rules will be posted on the outside of the doors. So if you have any clients who are upset or kind of, approaching you about that, let them know that the sign is there, and if anything escalates, go to your lead volunteer. Checking somebody in. So license or proof of identification is actually not required, but we really encourage it, and we're going to work with somebody if they don't have it on methods to get them ID, to get them some form that they can prove themselves. What we don't want to happen is if somebody comes in and they don't have ID and they're hungry, we don't want to turn them away because of that. So if that is the case, let your lead volunteer know, and he'll be able to set up the client with either a free ID waiver or set them up with the Service Navigator who can help them get the documents that they need in order to have a proper ID. Then we have 2 scenarios. 1, the client is already checked into the system. 2, the client needs to be signed up. So for signups, we're going to run the clients through the sign-up survey. So it's expected that the client fills out the survey to the best of their ability, fills out the entire survey. If there's issues with some of the questions, I know it comes up, income a lot is something that people are not willing to share. Bring it up with your lead volunteer. We don't want to force somebody if they're uncomfortable sharing. We want them to make sure they still get their food. So just have your lead volunteer be aware that if somebody has an issue signing up a client sheet, and then move on. If you guys can't create a solution between the lead volunteer and you, just write not available in the box and move on to the next question. Let's see. After filling out the survey, this is another point that sometimes we do miss. We need to make sure this is the client's very first time into the center, so we need to make sure that they're aware of all the other services we provide. Hygiene kits, clothes, clothing vouchers, bus passes, gas cards, the service navigation piece, housing services that Pathways may provide. We want to make sure that everyone who signs up is aware of our full services. I know sometimes when we're busy, it's easy to sign somebody up, give them the card, and have them shop. But we want to make sure just take that 2 or 3 minutes to explain totality of what we offer at the hub. The second option is the client's already signed up. That's pretty simple. We enter the date into the system. We give them a card with their prospective family members. So it is nice every once in a while to ask the client confirming their family size, because family size do change. It's actually size of household. So if somebody's feeding their household, we want that to be the number. But confirm with the client that their number is the same. You don't have to do it every visit, but I'm sure if you've seen somebody who comes through a lot, you can just every once in a while check. And give them their card, and then you're going to hand them over to the food distribution, the packing volunteers. The first step in that process, the client gets a basket, and the volunteer collects their card. The next step is about letting the client shop for themselves. So I know we have a bunch of rules, we have a bunch of different things with food, food changes every day, but what we really don't want to create is hovering over the client as they're shopping. So the time to address any problems with maybe they got too many items, maybe they got too few items, double of something, bring that up when you're checking their bags and checking their items, instead of kind of approaching them as they're shopping. So we'll just let them do that initial shopping part by themselves, and then we'll address those as it comes up. Count items after they're done shopping, and then inform the client the refrigerator numbers. So the numbers change every day. Just make sure to let them know that 2 from here, 3 from there. And then produce. So we're going to be serving the clients their produce. The volunteers will be doing that themselves. You guys will ask the client how much they want. Depending on how much we have that day, we'll give them the appropriate amount for their family size. So if they're in a larger family, you can give them more produce. But just make sure you're doing it and bagging it yourselves. That way everything stays clean and organized. And then again, once they're done, help them out to their car if they need it. A lot of clients have trouble carrying those bags, so just be there to support with that. A couple of the other things, commodities we have. One of the things that we need to make sure to do with commodities is we're going to be posting the new income guidelines for the commodities by the check-in station. When a client gets commodities, just point to the income guidelines and say, can you confirm that you qualify for this program? They'll say yes. You don't need to receive any proof. You just need confirmation. Then they'll go and sign the form. So we'll make sure to have those posted for you guys as we hand out commodities in the future. If somebody gets a bag of commodities, it's very likely they do not want all the items in that bag. So when they're leaving, just say, is there anything you don't want from the commodities? You're welcome to donate it back to the center. That food item is now considered a donation back to Pathways, and we can then put it onto our shelf. So that's an option. Sometimes somebody just wants the orange juice. That's completely fine, because we're just going to have them take the bag and then donate it back to us. So it's kind of the process which Second Harvest told us that is the right approach if somebody's doesn't want a lot of food. That's that. And then of course we have our items in the back that would be our hygiene, our diapers, our clothing. All those items need to be handed out by the volunteers in that distribution area. We don't want to have clients coming back to shop for those items. And then again, you can give out those items depending on their family size. So if somebody comes in and they want a certain amount of clothes, they have that green card, they can take more clothes than if they were to have the red or the yellow card. So just keep that in mind and make sure not to have the clients going around in the back, because sometimes it's hard if it's unorganized to really keep track of what we actually are giving out, or if something might be for someone else already reserved. So those are some brief points on the food distribution program during the 1 to 4 hours. And I do want to touch on our other volunteers, which would be our food rescue volunteers. So food rescue volunteers are responsible for picking up donated food from various vendors on a regular schedule and delivering it to one of our four, now not one, pantry sites. So food rescue is a really awesome program. It allows us to pick up foods from Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, tons of other local grocery stores. We can name 15 right now. But with this job comes some responsibilities. We have to transport the food safely according to all food safety and health standards. We have to complete the necessary weight sheets and donation reports for certain pickups. Not every pickup has a report for us to fill out, but if you do have a pickup in which you have a report, just make sure that's filled out and given to your lead volunteer. And then it is one of the responsibilities of a food rescue volunteer to have your own car. And if you are doing food rescue, make sure that we have a driver's release form. And then we'll need a copy of that driver's license. So if you are interested in joining the food rescue program, before you start, make sure that's all cleared up. Time varies with these pickups, so that's going to be something you discuss with your lead volunteer. Food pantry shelf stocker. So this is somebody who is preparing food distribution for those 1 to 4 hours. This volunteer's responsibility is really to create that nice environment, the organized, clean shelves, the produce lined up, the shelves stocked, cans organized neatly facing outwards so that we can have a really good presentation for our clients and provide them with the most, clean and well-looking food pantry. So all food pantry shelves need to be stocked by 1 p.m. During the week. So we can't be stocking the shelves when distribution starts. So if you are a food pantry shelf stocker, probably a better name for that, but make sure that
Inventory control clerk.
yeah, inventory control. If you're an inventory control clerk, you're going to make sure that your area is clean, prepped, and ready before 1 o'clock so that when the distribution volunteers start to get going and get the program going, they're all set. They don't have to worry about anything. Let's see here. First in, first out. So we do get deliveries in. It's easy to put those on the shelf immediately. First, check to see if we have any of those items already in the back stored. We get a bunch of corn in. We don't have any corn on the shelf. There might be corn that's come in, the day before or last week. That stuff needs to go on the shelf first. So if there's a new item that's going to add variety to our pantry shelves, just make sure to check that we don't already have an existing item. So first in, first out. Yeah, and that is that for the food program. So I know that there's going to be a lot of questions that have been, brewing about our program, our process, all these things. Please write them down, and we'll go over in the Q&A.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so let's go ahead and have a Q&A, right? So I'll keep Mike close by, and we will. We don't need to necessarily collect every single one right now. If someone wants to ask a question, that might alleviate what someone else was going to ask. So let me just ask this question really quick. Are you all excited about what you heard tonight with the college program? Are you sad to see Mike go? Are you excited to know we got a good one in Mary to replace him? That's good, right?
That's pretty good.
All right.
Seems enthusiastic.
So then I'll ask this question. Are there any questions?
No? All right.
We have a question. Can I say your name, Lisa? What was that?
Sure.
How early do you start stacking shelves daily? So when do the inventory control clerks get to work?
Right, so an inventory control clerk can arrive anywhere.
That terminology is up for.
Yeah.
Anywhere from.
Does that come with a shirt?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we've got them in the back. A little badge.
Or shorts?
Yeah. I know you want to be one. So from 9 o'clock to 11:30 is when we'd like them to start. By the latest 11:30, earliest 9 o'clock. So that's, if you start at 11:30, you'll have enough time to prepare the shelf. But if you want to start earlier and get more things done, 9 o'clock would be that earliest time.
Any other questions about anything you heard tonight? Yes, Paul.
Parking at the college is a challenge for anybody. What's the options for volunteers?
That's a great question. So I'm not going to pretend I can definitively answer that. You have two people from two of the colleges sitting right across from you probably. But I think that's definitely a question we're going to want to answer broadly for everybody. Elaine, Valentina, do you want to try to take that on for your respective campuses?
I can. Is it maybe easier for the Anaheim campus? We actually have ample parking, and because we have extra parking lots, and we'll be happy to issue you a parking permit that would allow you to park in any unmarked spot.
That cover full?
See Greg's in the back.
Dr. Schultz, ladies and gentlemen. Good question. Yeah, Sharon.
Maybe I missed this, but where is the food pantry on Fullerton Road? Where's the location?
All folks can answer that one too, yeah.
It's on just off of Chatham, more specifically, if you know where our pool is located, there's 4 temporary buildings just south of the pool. I mean, pretty close, probably a couple hundred feet from the bridge, but east of the bridge. So it's the first of the 4 temporary buildings right where the pool is. Just east of the Fine Arts building and the art gallery. It is for the next 2 or 3 years. We've got plans for an even better location in the future, but that's where it'll be in the near future. And it's room 1955. Room number? Room 1955. It's the first of 4 buildings in a row just south of the pool. Right off Chatham.
And I'm sorry, I have one more question. What are the days and the hours and the distribution for Fullerton College? It's going to be the same as the hub, or what are
So-
the different hours?
It'll be different from the hub, and we'll be consulting this. We had a meeting yesterday
Yeah.
to explore what that will be. Currently, we've been open on Tuesdays.
We've been open for several years now on the same day and time. It's kind of become tradition on our campus. Tuesdays from 12 until 2, and then 4 to 6:30. And so we're in discussion right now
Yeah.
about how to scale that up so that we can provide more accessibility to our students.
Yeah, our anticipation, and these are all going to launch in fall, right? And fall is literally like a month away, like, so we're getting close. And we anticipate we're going to be able to add capacity immediately. Maybe not a lot. We have to kind of see what the demand is, what the flow looks like. You know, it's a little bit like we're experimenting, and we're going to have new staff, and like what that looks like. But we are going to add capacity quickly. We are going to expand the hours. Won't be the hub, open 6 days a week like we are 1 to 4. It'll be a little bit different. Or the hours on Saturday 1 to 4?
Sorry, Saturday's 9 to noon.
Yeah, 9 to noon. But there will be an effort almost immediately to try to add some capacity, and then we want to see growth over time that gets us to having pretty standard, ideally 5-day-a-week operational hours. But we got to travel a road to get there. But our goal collectively we've agreed upon is to try to get there. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, great.
So you have the food rescue volunteers picking up food now, and right now they're bringing it all to the hub.
Yes.
Some days we have a lot of stuff, and other days we don't have very much at all.
Yeah.
So now that we're going to be bringing this food out to 3 other places, how are we going to balance?
That's a great question. So,
Yeah, so the hub deliveries and the hub food rescue items that we get are going to be specific to the hub. Yeah, we're going to expand that idea and that kind of
So
program
we're
to
looking
those
for
other pantries.
new places.
Yeah, so like our Sprouts, let's just take an example. Sprouts delivery, Gene, you've picked it up multiple times, comes into the hub on Thursday. That's still going to come into the hub on Thursday. We're not going to split that to the other campuses. But the other campuses' programs will have similar.
yeah, so because of the way food finding and pickup works, and I think those of you who have done it for a long time know there's kind of monopolies over some of the grocery stores, and some of the larger groups get to pick up food. We're going to be building relationships as our goal. The colleges have agreed to work with us to build relationships in their particular communities, so near Cypress College, near the Anaheim campus. And we really want to expand this stuff around the Fullerton campus and find more partners and things like that. And then on the days maybe where we have too much, it's an easy drive from the hub over to Fullerton College to drop off stuff for the next day. So some things like that can be worked out, but what we really want to do is expand partnerships at the other 2 new sites considerably, so there's no overflow of hub food too often, if ever, going to those campuses, because I think then we all know it'll get a little conflated and probably a little confusing for everyone on what goes where, and we're trying to avoid that. So Second Harvest is going to play a major role in supporting especially, well, all 3 campus locations, but especially those 2 remote ones, where we haven't established some of those relationships yet. But Cypress College, for instance, already gets a steady inflow of food from having had a food bank open as long as they have. So NOCE will be a whole new food bank for us. We're starting it. So we're going to kind of see what goes on there, see what the demand is. Second Harvest is going to be a big supporter. Then we'll build those relationships with grocery stores and local volunteer groups too that can help bring in foods. Yeah.
I'm going to be providing the volunteers with an updated list of all the services that are going to be available at the hub, because
Yes.
I honestly don't have a real good sense of what they all
Yes.
are.
So we'll, moving on with these, expectations we laid out for the volunteers, especially after you sign up a client who's new, we're going to have a little cheat sheet for you guys in explaining that process. It's actually something Francesca had made a couple years ago that we had, just explaining some of the, or all of the services that are available to that client. And if it changes, we're gonna have a whiteboard so that we can update those services.
And then there would be individual handouts for the clients if they're just interested in one of those services. I know we have some now, but I don't think we have handouts on all of our services, not to my knowledge.
No, yeah, that's definitely something we consider. We can consider an actual handout for specific services. Definitely open to that.
I have a third question.
Yeah.
Are we changing the policy at all about how people get bus passes and clothing vouchers? Because right now, it's a little clunky because you have to do it, and if you're busy or you're not there, then we can't provide them.
Yeah, so that is actually going to be in the works, and it's going to be something that's going to be discussed in between the lead volunteers. Mary is going to have a big role in kind of figuring out the delegation of those services and how me not being there is going to affect that.
And if I could jump in too,
Yeah.
we're going to be hiring another service navigator to replace Mary as she moves up, and I think that's one of the services we can see them take on in a more kind of articulated role, right? Like you also, as clients walk up and need these things, it's a basic need service, it's transportation services. It makes a lot of sense for them to do it and sit with the client and give them that. So I think those are the avenues
Yeah.
we're looking at. So,
On that subject, is that person going to be, new service navigator, going to be available?
Yeah, at the hub full time.
Open, oh.
Yeah, so they're actually gonna be the hub full time. They're gonna support some of your work too. And stuff like that, like with individual client needs and things like that. Because Mary's gonna be out in the field a little bit at the sites, you know, initially. And what Mary's role is now is actually a ramped up version of what we are going to bring in, if that makes sense. So we're gonna bring in a full-time staff person whose job is only to work with clients, not manage any staff people. So they'll be supporting a lot of you. So when you're identifying clients during check-in for food that are asking for things, that navigator will probably be able to help with some of that stuff on top of their housing things they're doing too.
Yeah. And that will all go through the lead volunteer.
Yep.
So your interaction with anything above or contacting the service navigator will just go through the lead volunteer, who will then read it.
These are good. Now we're starting to incite more questions. I like it.
I understand the health and safety issue was good set for food.
Yeah, we do. It just depends on the vendor. So it's tricky, but basically with cooked food, what I say is contact me. Now that's going to be Mary for the point of contact for new pickups, and we'll kind of organize a process in order to transport that food safely, make sure it's coming from a reliable source. But we do accept cooked foods. It just really depends on what kind of capacity it's being delivered in. Do we have the space for it? Can we get it out the door fast enough? Exactly.
I'm thinking with the colleges, the kids.
Yeah.
Probably always pretty, so it would be perfect for,
Yeah.
We think, it just speaking from a more strategic standpoint, we think this is a really great way for the Pathways of Hope name to get out among restaurateurs and folks like that in the community who have that prepared food at the end of the night and are looking around at some place to give it up to. 3 really respectable, amazing, educational institutions in the community make great venues for that. So, and that helps Pathways, right? It helps expand our name and it helps expand on the good work everyone's doing. So, that's part of the goal with it for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
is there an age minimum to volunteer?
To volunteer. So if you're volunteering with client interaction, it's going to be 18 years or older. But you're always welcome to volunteer without client interaction if you're under 18.
Inventory control clerk. You can be 16 and do that job. It's perfect.
Back home.
With a guardian, yes, of course. So your parent, guardian should be volunteering, and then you can volunteer as well as a young person. We love that. We love bringing along younger people and getting involved in volunteerism. Irene, did you have your hand up?
I know this is probably bits and pieces from overall, but also, and I know we've had all of those in the observer, and I think it'd be good again that we have something more saying about what the volunteers are going to be doing, when and where, and what are we going to do for, in the past, we've had organizations, we've had churches, we've had the temple donating into the hub. What now is that, and maybe I missed that answer someplace along the line. How will this food that's being donated, where will it actually be going to the hub, to the individual colleges? And I apologize if
No, it's
I
okay.
missed that.
So, Mike, Churches are
Yeah.
still donating to the hub.
Yes,
Pretty
so
heavily, yeah.
any program or community church or, like you said, temple who is involved in donating food to the hub will still be donating to the hub. And if we're gonna add on any new, because churches are an amazing place to go with people filled who wanna help for causes exactly like this. So we're not gonna be kind of redelegating our church donors to the hub to these other sites, but we will be reaching out to those communities to support these additional.
Yeah, so church, faith communities in other cities, obviously, we want them to be heavily involved. Here in Fullerton, what I would say is that, you know, most of you are on our mailing list, I assume, and you've seen the mail we got. We've gotten really great response from that letter we sent out. We're hoping to expand the amount of food coming inbound to the hub and potentially be able to take some of that over to somewhere like Fullerton College directly instead of having to rely on Second Harvest and purchasing food and food reclamation projects and things like that. That'll all be fine for now. At some point, we would like to see the influx of food from the faith-based community, groups, partnerships, whomever, the general community. And we have, Ann, Michael, and Rhiannon and I talk a lot about doing big community-wide food drives, like bigger than we've done historically, and in some really exciting ways with new partners. Once we see some of that sort of amp up, I think that's when we'll start to see so much, ideally, so much food, in particular canned and dry goods, that we can start siphoning some of that off to the colleges and things like that. So.
Well, I know that in the past, things like this have been taking place, or like in front of Ralph's and so forth. But I thought also in doing something, going through sharing of the Observer, bring it out to the community, so the community really can feel they can take part in helping, instead of them always seeing all this is taking place up in Los Angeles and so forth. We want to make sure that the community.
Yeah, I think Sharon, did we talk to her about the college program so far, or we were waiting, I think, to get, I think one of the things we want to do is when we launch articles, we want to have something for them to look at. So I think we want to have the pantries open and then do more. So we've got, right now, we've got several large media outlets. So the Register, I just talked to them today about this program, and they said the same thing. They want to come out to the projects once they're open and see them, which is amazing, before they write a story.
They will be sharing it in the August issue. So part of the challenge is summer, there are fewer issues of the Observer than throughout the rest of the year. So they have it, they're on it, keep an eye out in your August issue for it. But we wanted to make sure we had the chance to talk to you all about it before it went out into the community.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Sorry to.
No, that's why you're always awesome. That's why you're always awesome. Getting the note in when we need it. Lisa, what was that? One more. What do you got?
Possibly in the future, when you start to see within these 3 locations, if there's recurrent, I guess, standard items that are requested, where you could put out a standardized list. When I worked for Olive Crest, one of the things that I did working with the aging foster youth, the transitional housing placement program, we did a lot of engagement with college ministries. This is perfect for high school and college ministries for them to be able to support their own peers. So, you know, especially in North Orange County, we have a lot of really large churches that would be able to do that. But if you could come up with a standardized list.
We have one for the hub now. We have a standardized list that we use. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned it though. We had a conversation yesterday about talking about monitoring trends at the colleges and what we're seeing based on the time of year, the student population, things like that, and really trying to make sure we're hyper-focused on the things that students want. At the hub, we've got that. What we need to do is expand it and get it into more people's hands. Yeah, exactly. So we want to see the trends for that and stuff like that. That's something we're paying really close attention to.
I actually took 2 classes in the spring, and so I visited during a student day and walked through. I didn't take anything, but I walked through the process.
Yeah, wow.
And so I was, you know, really curious. I talked to the director at the time, who was actually hired by the college. One of the things that they really did that was great, getting music going. They were out, you know, really trying to bring the students in, and I really liked that. It was a very welcoming environment.
Okay, good.
So.
Yeah, excellent. That's good feedback. Thank you, Lisa. For sure. Anybody else before we break it up and then I say email us your questions because you're going to think of stuff later. I know you are. Anything else? Okay.
She has something to present to Mike and
Absolutely.
Mary.
Absolutely.
Something we've been missing for a long time in our process, at least on Wednesdays, we always used it.
On the bell. All right. That's nice. Go for it. All right, and with that, we are concluded. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Sign up to volunteer.